Hey guys, what's up? It's Samantha, and today I'm going to be memory keeping the last week in February, which is February 24th through the 27th, and I am so excited to finally get to reuse this kit. You guys know I don't save sticker scraps or reuse sticker scraps very often, but every once in a while there's a kit where there's enough full boxes and it's something that I'm just obsessed with, and I actually really love how this turned out. This is very much a white space spread and very different from what I normally do, but I like it so much. I think I might play around more with this style. So this, I believe, was the SPC 6 or 7 year anniversary kit. Maybe 7 year anniversary. And I am reusing it. I'm also using mixed metals, gold and silver. This, I believe, was the foil bundle that came with the kit, and I bought a few extras because I liked it so much. It's kind of like a Louis Vuitton inspired pattern going on. And then I also pulled in some blue and yellow, iridescent, shattered gemstone kind of washi from Simply Gilded. I can't remember what that finish is specifically called, but I believe both of the washis I used were from gemstone of the month things. So yes, I'm obsessed with how this spread turned out. And when I used it the first time, I actually used date covers because I was feeling lazy and I didn't want to put down deco. And I'm really glad that I got to save the deco for this because it just looks so pretty. So before I jump into talking about all of the books that I read this week, or I guess the 3 books I read this week, I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that happened this week. My sister-in-law was induced and my nephew was born. So if you see me putting down pregnancy baby stickers, not for me, definitely not for me. So that is, my nephew was born this week, which was very exciting. Obviously, there were some very sad things that happened this week too, just on a global scale, and I marked those too. But it was, sort of the highs and the lows of this week. That was really fun, and we did get to go out to eat with my brother-in-law, which was really fun. I haven't really been out to restaurants pretty much at all in the last 2 years, and a restaurant near us did rooftop igloos, so we rented an igloo, so just the 3 of us were in the igloo together, which felt a little more safe. Just since I knew I was going to be seeing a baby in the next couple weeks, I wanted to make sure that I limited my exposure while still getting to see my brother-in-law because he was in from out of town, my husband's brother, and it was my brother's wife is the one who gave birth, so it's my brother's kid, if that makes sense. I just explained that in the most confusing way possible. So it just was a coincidence that those 2 things were in the same week. So with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the books that I read. The first book that I read was House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, which is the second Crescent City book. And I liked this one, but I didn't love it the way I loved the first one. I obviously don't want to get spoilery, but there were some things, especially in the first half, where it felt very contrived. There was something that she did to basically prolong the romantic relationship from being fulfilled. I'll say that was really unnecessary and really stupid and didn't make sense, in my opinion, with what she set up in the first book. And I definitely don't like the main characters as much in this one. I like the side characters a lot more. Rune is one of my faves. I like his friends. Honestly, he could just be the main character at this point, and I love it. I liked the setting in the first book. In the first book, Bryce works for an art collector, in a gallery, and there is a private library in the basement, and a lot of time is spent in that setting. And I didn't realize how much I loved that setting until it wasn't really a thing anymore in this book. And I just feel like not having that as the main setting kind of not ruined my enjoyment, but took away I think that was a big part of why I liked the first book so much, and I didn't realize that until it wasn't present in this book, if that makes sense. So yeah, I also think there was some lore stuff that I wish I had read A Court of Silver Flames immediately before I jumped into these books. I didn't realize how much I missed in that book. Like, all of her books take place in the same universe. And so there are some like greater cosmic forces where like lore is sort of in all of her series that ties together. And it's like more stuff is starting to come together in Crescent City. And I wish I had reread A Court of Silver Flames, because a lot of the stuff when I read it the first time, like A Court of Silver Flames, I was just like, this is boring. I'm ignoring this. Let's get to the part where like Nesta and Cassian are together. And yeah, some of that actually ended up being pretty important. So I have gone back since then and reread A Court of Silver Flames, and I'm like, oh, like, wow, all of this was actually really relevant. But I hadn't read the first Crescent City book when I read A Court of Silver Flames. So maybe if I had read that first book, I would have known, like I would have picked up that some of those things might be relevant to the bigger story being told if I had read them in the order she published them, if that makes sense. So my bad. Then the next two books I read were a duology. The first book was These Hollow Vows, and the second book was an advanced copy of These Twisted Bonds by Lexi Ryan. And I never intended to reread These Hollow Vows. I had read it at the end of 2021, and I didn't particularly like it, but I got hooked by the ending, and I was curious to see what would happen in the sequel. And the ARC was available on NetGalley, so I downloaded it with the intent to read it pretty quickly after the first book and know how it ended, and then, you know, forget about these books and never think about them again. But I waited a couple months, which I thought, you know, I'd still remember the big pieces of what happened. Turns out I remembered literally nothing from the first book, and I had to reread the first book to read the second. And I disliked the first book a lot more the second time I read it. And I made myself read the second book because I requested the arc of it. And I also really strongly disliked the second book. These books are very, very tropey and very trite and very overplayed. And obviously these books have their audience. A lot of people really love these books. I am just not that audience. So if you find comfort in reading the same kind of story, the same tropes over and over again, if you really want to read something that's ACOTAR Redux, Cruel Prince Redux, The Selection Redux, then this is going to work for you, because there definitely is an audience who likes that type of book. And that's totally fine. Like, no shame or judgment for me. I am just not the right reader for this series, and if I hadn't had an arc of the second book, I would not have finished it. I would have just DNF'd, but I felt bad. So unfortunately, not for me, not my thing, but, you know, I've lived and I've learned. I'm not going to read that kind of book anymore. I'm just going to not buy into the hype. So yeah, that was everything that I read this week, and we're almost done with the spread here as well. Something that I've been doing in the last couple of videos, I don't know if you've noticed, I haven't filmed myself putting my scripts down because I've been doing the close-up shots at the end of the video. And I find it a lot easier to not film putting my scripts down. I can write things out if I'm alternating, you know, handwriting and scripts or whatever. It's just been easier for me to do it that way and more time efficient, because I was finding that I was not able to get my face close enough to the pages when I was putting down scripts, because I need to stay out of camera frame, and you can't really see stuff that well anyways when I'm that zoomed out putting down scripts. So I feel like this zoom in at the end serves the same purpose. You can see all the scripts, you can see what I put down, you get a better sense of what's going on in my week. So I think I'm going to keep doing this. It just works better for me and my filming style and my planning style. But I'm obsessed with how this spread turned out. I really like the white space, so I think I'm going to keep playing around with that a little bit in the next few spreads. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye, guys.